Hello, friends. Welcome to A Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. And, folks, I'm still riding high off last night's interview with Barack Obama. It was substantive. It was silly. Somebody brought the rock to the rim. Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who had the liquid grace of a mid-'90s Jordan. The important thing is, and this is true, that was 20 minutes? That was like 20 minutes of the interview we did on Monday. We talked for 100 minutes. That means there are 80 minutes of interview just as good as that sitting out there. 35 minutes of which we will be showing on Monday. On Monday for our exclusive special.
The Late Show's Chaka-Blaka Barack Obama Rama Extravagama.
The other 45 minutes we're going to etch onto a golden disc and then shoot it into space so future civilizations will know when television peaked. Or we'll put it out like on 45 one-minute TikToks or something like that. But that was last night. And today, the president still refuses to concede. The president-elect has begun his transition, and people are being asked to curtail their Thanksgiving plans because the pandemic continues to rage. So I'm not going to get distracted by any shiny objects out there. I'm going to stay focused on the big story. A weird monolith was found in the Utah desert. Ooh, shiny. What could it mean? Is it aliens making first contact? Is it a site-specific art installation that examines the dynamic tension between man and nature? Or is it a really poorly installed stainless steel backsplash? Utah is the ultimate open-concept kitchen. Now, there's a lot of speculation about this mystery plinth. So we're going to dive in with our very first monolith-themed monologue, which we're calling... That is actually a longer intro than the special with Obama on Monday. Here's what happened. A crew from the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources was surveying the area, counting bighorn sheep by helicopter. Incredibly dangerous job. You have to fly the chopper, count the sheep, and not fall asleep. We lost a lot of good sheep counters that way. Now, these fellows up in the helicopter, they noticed the monolith. Because, according to one Utah wildlife spokesman, we fly pretty low for these surveys so we can identify the gender of the sheep. Hang on. Yeah, okay, alien monolith, but you can tell a sheep's gender from a helicopter? Well, now we know why they're called bighorn. The crew landed for a closer inspection. Here they are, doing this for some reason. And we have footage of man's first contact with the monolith.
Okay, the intrepid explorers go down to investigate the alien life form. They've cut it in? Okay. Who does this kind of stuff? Yeah. Wow.
That is one low-key reaction to potentially discovering alien life. What's that? What, a tractor beam pulling me up into the belly of the ship? What is that, a probe in your hand? Who does this kind of stuff? Gary, you seeing this thing? Oh, my bones are liquid now. There are non-alien theories, just a couple, as to how this monolith, as some are calling it now, or monolith, either one, got to a remote region of Utah's desert that is closed off to the general public. Some think it could have been a rogue artist or a leftover movie prop. According to one Department of Public Safety spokesperson, the monolith appeared to be made of stainless steel put together with human-made rivets. Okay, but riddle me this. What human refers to them as human-made rivets? What's the name of that spokesman? Nick Street. Clearly a panicked galactic traveler making up his name on the spot. My name is Nick Street. My wife is Honda. Mailbox. She wears human-made shoes. What makes this even more mysterious is that authorities point out there are roads close by, but to haul the materials to cut into the rock and haul the metal, which is taller than 12 feet in sections, to do all that in that remote spot is definitely interesting. Interesting? It's more than interesting. This is the first 15 minutes of a sci-fi movie. Next, we're going to meet the attractive young geologist played by Zendaya, who gets sent out there to study the monolith with curmudgeonly Professor Paul Giamatti and a rugged, distant, yet kind metallurgist played by Chris Pine. Look, I already have half of it written. Call me Monolith. By the way, the monolith is played by Vin Diesel. In post-election election news, reality keeps moving forward with the arrow of time. Yesterday, officials in both Pennsylvania and Nevada certified that Joe Biden won their states. Even the White House seems to be receiving the message because they officially signed off on Joe Biden getting the president's daily brief. Well, that's going to be a nice change of pace for the briefers to give a list of national security threats to a president who's not on it. But it might be tough for Biden because the president's daily briefing is often tailored to the president currently in office. We actually have a copy of the briefing that was made for the current president. Let's see this, Jim. This one means great danger, unrest in Iraq. Yeah, you know, it's for the president. You got to put boobs in or it won't pay attention. But it seems like the president wants to enjoy abusing his office right up to the bitter end. Because this afternoon he tweeted, "It is my great honor to announce that General Michael T. Flynn has been granted a full pardon. Congratulations to @Gen Flynn and his wonderful family. I know you will now have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving." I can't believe this. But I guess I should have known. There was something kind of suspicious about yesterday's turkey pardon. But Thanksgiving is a perfect day to pardon Flynn. After all, it's all about Turkey, the country he was being paid to represent secretly while he was supposed to be working for America. Still, it's in keeping with tradition of the first Thanksgiving, when the Pilgrims and Native Americans came together in harmony to establish a secret back channel with the Russian ambassador and then lie about it to the FBI, or as they called it, Maze. The president issued the pardon despite the fact that back in 2017 he tweeted this: "I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the vice president and the FBI. He has pled guilty to those lies." Sure, he lied to the FBI and pled guilty to it, but can you really trust that confession? The guy's an admitted liar. Flynn had illegal conversations with the Russians, you see, and then lied to the FBI about them. Two wrongs may not make a right, but this president is determined to find out how many do. So the president is certainly acting like a guy whose days are numbered, but he has not conceded. I'll catch you up on the latest details in this never-changing story in tonight's
Gobble, gobble, I suspect foul play. Gobble, gobble, I'm president, and there's stuffing you can do about it. Gobble, 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 gobble.
The road from the White House.
Today, the president was supposed to attend the latest fraud fest starring alleged attorney and pagan priest summoning the Norse god of dentistry, Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani was holding an event with Pennsylvania Republican state senators, but it wasn't an official Senate hearing because they were holding it at a hotel, not at the state capitol. Yeah, it's not an official event. It was more of a fraud fan convention. That's why they called it Election Con. The president expressed strong interest in joining Giuliani for the trip. His first outside of the Washington area since Election Day. His first, but not his last. But this morning, as everyone was getting set to depart for Pennsylvania, the White House announced that the trip had been canceled, possibly because at least 2 people close to Giuliani have contracted COVID-19. Now, no one knows exactly how the staffers got the virus. Possibly they caught it from someone in the president's inner circle, or it is possible they got it because it was the will of the monolith. How long have I been out? Now, despite the positive test, Giuliani went to Pennsylvania anyway, and during the hearing, the president called Jenna Ellis, one of the other lawyers, and she held him up to the mic.
I really appreciate being asked to speak, and I'm in the Oval Office right now, and it's very interesting to see what's going on.
I'm not saying the president has given up on the idea of overturning the election, but I will point out he is literally phoning it in. As I said, this is our country's first COVID Thanksgiving, and the experts are urging us to make it our safest Thanksgiving by not gathering or traveling. Or as one California official put it, just say no to family Thanksgiving. Just say no. I wouldn't use the anti-drug slogan. Now kids are just going to have Thanksgiving in secret under the bleachers. They're going to be huffing stuffing. You can tell from the cranberry ring. One home where they should be really careful this holiday season is the White House. Ever since Election Day, the White House has been circulating two things: fake cases of voter fraud and real cases of coronavirus. So far, at least 45 people connected to the White House have contracted the virus. Recent cases include Mark Meadows, Ben Carson, Corey Lewandowski, and Don Jr., all of whom tested positive after attending an election night watch party in the White House. Obviously, they all should have worn masks and kept a 6-foot distance between their lips and the president's butt. Well, the White House has learned their lesson from the election night party: have a different kind of party, because the White House is planning holiday parties indoors despite the pandemic. Well, they have to have the parties. Rudy's already made a batch of delicious holiday head nog. But they're going to take precautions, folks. Food will be individually plated by chefs at plexiglass-protected food stations, and all past beverages will be covered. So the CDC has finally achieved Sizzler salad bar and sippy cup technology. But no matter how many precautions they take, there's always some risk. So the White House warned invitees that attending the parties will be a very personal choice. Yes, it's an important personal choice. It reminds me of that poem by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one without COVID because I'm not an idiot. We got a great show for you tonight. Our guest is Rob Corddry, but when we return, I get a visit from the president's personal lawyer. Stick around.